The mountains remember everything. They remember the young man who climbed their ancient paths with a heart so heavy it could barely beat. They remember his footsteps, slow, uncertain, like someone walking through fog. His name was Marco, 24 years old and lost in a storm no one else could see. Every morning, Marco woke to the same invisible weight pressing on his chest. Thoughts, endless, relentless thoughts, chased him from sunrise to midnight. Regrets about yesterday, fears about tomorrow. His mind had become a battlefield, and he was losing. But what Marco didn't know yet was that peace had been waiting for him all along. The village where Marco lived was small, tucked between valleys, where the mist clung like a secret. It was the kind of place where everyone knew your name, your story, your sorrows. And they knew Marco's too. They saw it in his eyes, the exhaustion of someone who had forgotten how to rest. One evening, as the last light bled from the sky, Marco overheard two women talking by the well. One of them mentioned a name he'd never heard before, a man, a healer of minds. Someone who had once worked in the great cities, helping people untangle the knots inside their heads. But now he lived alone in the hills, far from everything. They say he knows the secret to silence, the woman whispered. Marco felt something stir inside him. Hope, fragile but real. He packed a small bag that very night. No plan, no map. Just a desperate need to find this man, this stranger who might hold the key to the peace Marco had been chasing for so long. If you're enjoying this story, I'd love for you to stay a little longer. Subscribe to hear more stories like this one. Stories that touch the heart and quiet the mind. Leave a comment and tell me what peace means to you. And if this story speaks to you, share it with someone who might need to hear it too. The journey took days. Marco walked through forests where the trees whispered in languages older than memory. He crossed rivers that sang with the voices of 1,000 storms. His feet ached. His body begged him to turn back. But something deeper, something he couldn't name, kept pulling him forward. Finally, on the 5th day, he reached the village in the hills. It was smaller than his own, quieter. The air itself felt different here, lighter, as if it had learned to let go. And there, at the edge of the village, stood a small house covered in ivy and wildflowers. On the porch, bathed in the soft gold of late afternoon, sat an old man. His eyes were closed. His hands rested gently on his knees. He looked like someone who had made peace with the world. Marco hesitated. Then, gathering his courage, he stepped forward. "Grandfather?" His voice cracked. "My mind, it never stops. I can't sleep. I can't breathe. I need peace. Please, can you help me?" The old man opened his eyes, slowly, as if waking from a beautiful dream. He looked at Marco, not with pity, but with understanding. Then he smiled. "Peace," he said softly. "Yes, I think I can show you where it lives." The old man stood and motioned for Marco to follow. They walked to a small courtyard behind the house, where a table sat beneath a willow tree. On the table was a single glass. The old man filled it with water, slowly, carefully, until it reached the very brim, so full that even a breath might make it spill. He handed the glass to Marco. "Walk to the edge of the village," the old man said, "then come back. But listen closely. You must not spill a single drop." Marco stared at the glass, at the water trembling inside it. It seemed impossible, but he nodded. He wrapped both hands around the glass and began to walk. The path was narrow, uneven. People moved around him. Children laughing, dogs barking, a cart rattling past, voices called out. The world buzzed with life, but Marco didn't hear any of it. His entire world had shrunk to the size of that glass, to the water inside it, to the single, fragile task before him. Step by step, breath by breath. He moved like someone walking on a tightrope between earth and sky. His mind, usually a hurricane of thoughts, was perfectly still. No past, no future, only this moment, only this step. When he finally returned to the courtyard, the old man was still sitting beneath the willow. Marco placed the glass on the table. Not a drop had been lost. "I did it," Marco whispered, almost in disbelief. The old man smiled. Then, with a voice as gentle as the wind, he asked, "Tell me, Marco, did you see the children playing by the road?" Marco blinked. "Number, did you hear the dogs barking?" "Number, did you notice the flowers blooming by the path?" Marco shook his head slowly. "No, I didn't see anything. I was only watching the water." The old man's smile deepened. "And in that moment, when your mind was only on the water, were you afraid?" Marco paused. Then quietly, "No." "Were you sad about the past?" "Number." "Were you worried about tomorrow?" Marco's breath caught. "Number. I wasn't thinking about anything except the water." The old man leaned forward, his eyes kind and knowing. "That, my boy, is the secret. It was never hidden. It was always inside you. When your mind stays in the present moment, when you are fully here, fully alive in this single breath, there is no room for fear, no room for regret, no room for worry." He gestured to the glass. "You carried water, but you could have been doing anything. Walking, breathing, listening to the rain. It doesn't matter what the task is. What matters is that you are here, completely, fully, without running into yesterday or tomorrow." Marco felt something break open inside him, not in pain, but in release, like a door he didn't know was locked, suddenly swinging wide. "So, peace isn't something I find," Marco said slowly. "It's something I return to." The old man nodded. "Yes, peace is not out there, in some distant place. It is here, in this moment, in this breath, always." The sun was setting now, painting the hills in shades of amber and rose. Birds returned to their nests, their song soft and sure. The world felt different to Marco, or maybe he was the one who had changed. He thanked the old man, not with words, but with a bow so deep it spoke everything his heart couldn't say. Then he began the long walk home. But this time, he wasn't the same restless young man who had left days ago. His steps were lighter. His breath was easier. The storm inside him had quieted, not because it was gone, but because he had learned how to stand still inside it. And as he walked, Marco understood. Peace wasn't something he had lost. It had been waiting, patiently, for him to come home to the present moment. The mountains remember everything, and now they would remember the young man who learned to be still. If this story touched your heart, I hope you'll share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories that inspire, comfort, and remind us of the beauty hidden in simple truths. And tell me in the comments, what does peace mean to you? Until we meet again, stay well, stay gentle, and stay present.